Hi guys, so in this video I will be sharing the interview experience of Infosys for a Spaceless Programmer means SP role. Okay, so this is the exact interview experience got shared by a Reddit user on Reddit. I will be walking you through this interview experience, okay? And this is the actual interview experience. One by one we will understand everything, each and everything. So let's start. First of all, if you want to prepare quickly for your interview for Infosys or any other company, you can purchase the interview notes. You will be getting each and everything in this notes. Like you will be getting one crash book. So crash course book you can use for covering all the important topics in very limited time. Then OOPS notes, programming notes, STL collection frameworks, HR questions, DSA theory, project-based questions, SQL queries, CS fundamentals, computer science coding sheet, pseudocode output, candidate interview experience sheet. Each and everything you will be getting here in the notes. Okay, so this is the full collection of the notes which you can use for your preparation. Link will be in the description which you can use to purchase this interview notes for your preparation for Infosys or any other company. Let's start with SP interview experience. So this is my first post here sharing my interview experience. You share your views and opinion on this. Let's talk about the interview experience. I am 2024 BCSE. Okay, so BCSE graduate from a tier 3 college. Today I had interview with Infosys for a specialist programming position at Noida Center. The interview began with the interviewer asking me to introduce myself. Okay, so this is a common HR question, like introduce yourself. This kind of question definitely interviewers ask in the interview, like introduce yourself. Okay, which I did. Then he asked about my projects and requested me to rate my skills in DSA. Okay, so he asked about the project. Okay, so project questions are also very important. Whatever you are mentioning in your resume is important that you should read about it, and requested me to rate my skills in DSA data structures and algorithms. So first of all, introduction, behavior questions and project. So we already covered this in our notes. So all kind of behavior questions also you will be getting here in the notes in HR questions. Okay, all the like HR questions, all the behavior questions are covered. Also project we have covered in a separate notes. Okay, so these everything is covered. Then he requested me to rate my DSA skills. I rated myself 6 to 7, which I thought was fair. After that, he started asking me questions on data structures and algorithms from various topics. I managed to answer most of them since they were very basic question. But then he moved on to the trees and start asking in-depth question. Okay, so he basically started asking questions on trees. Okay, first thing, this is important, these are not the coding question, these are the theory based question they asked. Okay, so theory based matlab in the data structures and algorithms, some properties of binary search tree, or how can you do something in the algorithm. So this kind of questions which are theory, not coding, like only theory question they asked in the DSA like this. Okay, and in-depth questions on trees. Although I had basic knowledge, I was not very strong in this area, so I became nervous, quite nervous, and start shittering. The interviewer keep smiling and had his hand on his mouth, which made me even more anxious. After I struggled with the questions on trees, he switched to OOPS, object-oriented programming, and asked me to write the pseudocode for constructors, recursion, and inheritance. I answered these to the best of my abilities. Okay, so after the DSA, he switched to the OOPS and the basic pseudocodes for constructor, recursion, and inheritance. These are the basic questions which they asked, and mostly in the interviews of Infosys, they can ask you OOPS related question, DSA question. This is the similar structure which they follow in each and every interview. Mostly they ask DSA, OOPS, and DBMS question. Next, we moved on the DBMS. So same thing I told you that mostly you will be getting DSA question, OOPS question, DBMS questions, and behavior questions, project question. This is the most common interview for Infosys SP, which went well. I began to regain my confidence. However, then he threw me a curveball by giving me two simple SQL questions. I wrote the code correctly for the first one, but I failed to notice that he had purposely given me one wrong question. He was visibly grinning as he gave me 2 minutes to find the error in the answer, but I could not identify what was wrong. He then pointed out that the question itself was incorrect, which made me feel foolish for not catching it. Okay, so DBMS 2 queries also they asked. Finally, he asked me to write a code on paper for a problem involving strings. The problem was to find the total number of similar characters occurring in a string. like triple A, triple B, C. So we need to actually put the count here. I wrote the complete code, explained it to him, and also discussed the time complexity. So this was the whole interview experience. So if you guys can notice here, majorly what they ask is, let's discuss about the overall summary. Okay. So if you will talk about overall summary, what they asked is basically it started with uh, the basic introduction. After the introduction, what they ask? After the introduction, DSA, DSA theory questions. Okay, basic theory question. Also ask the questions about projects. Then question on OOPS. Then coding question and DBMS question. This was the whole interview structure, and most of the time you will be getting this kind of interview structure only. Also in our notes we have covered each and everything, like behavior question, oops, programming, HR questions. DSA theory we provided separately because many times interviewer asked the theory questions from DSA, so we separately provided the DSA theory notes also. So everything you will be getting here, link will be in the description. Thank you so much for watching the interview experience of Infosys Specialist Programmer.